Okay, I think it's on. Tool chest ideas. God, where do I start with this one? This is the first half. It'll have another half to it. A lot of people asking about the brackets and whatnot. The little pockets for the chisels. They all look the same. They're actually really different. And to grab a chisel, I'll grab any one of these. You lift up and lefty-loosey. And the way the top of them is and the shape of the socket here, my hand's moving funny. I'm looking through the telephone as I'm talking, but puts the weight, keeps them in. I mean, they're really positively locked in. Each pocket's different, but just lift up, lefty-loosey, and pull right out. I'm hoping that them being in little cubbies like this or what, cradled like that will kind of help on them not rusting or getting oxidized. But everything, pretty much everything in this box, just kind of hangs there. Walk up and pick it up. These little guys have toggles, but they stay put. There's little countersinks and the same thing, lift and twist to the left. But that part, as you can see, as it clips, they stay in there really well without those little toggle guys. This isn't a box I plan on traveling with. It'll probably weigh several hundred pounds when it's done, but it's kind of set up like that. But anyhow, this guy swings open. There's going to be another rack in behind here that swings, and there's a couple key items. I'd like to get a cabinet scraper, and the blades on those stick way out, so that'll determine the shape of the next rack, which I don't know if I'm going to have fold out like this or if I'm going to have it swing up and I could grab everything from here. But there's a lot of stuff that has to go in here yet. That back is temporary. It's just a piece of plywood, so I could fiddle around with the layout. But the little cubbies here, try to keep my hand out of the way, just lift up and the bottom kind of kicks out of its little pocket there. And like these two are connected and the bottom is all connected, but the way I made it, I could mount the bottom and then play around with the top and get it where I want it. And there's not a whole lot of playroom in there. They're nice and fixed. But for the distance, I could kind of play around and then go on to the next one. This one didn't need a notch like that. These, I don't have any electrical like jigsaws or anything. Coping saw, and then with the carving chisels, made these profiles. Coping saw, this whole piece here, for example, coping saw, and then glued everything up. Mostly like little dowel pins. I'm trying to join stuff without glue, just for fun. But this is all pared down with the bench chisels, and then the profiles I flowed out with the carving chisels. The drawers, absolutely necessary. This was actually on some firewood that, here I have a log here. My sister and her husband had their fireplace converted to gas and brought a bunch of firewood over. I have 3 wood burners. I at least supplement heat with it, and saw that, and that was eye-popping. And I have a few of those logs, but the cool thing about the wood, it does that in every direction, that fiddle back, and I was actually able to book match, kind of splay out the grain like a mirror image of each other. But I've made different things, but this like this little cobbler hammer, I love it, but the handle, that grain just does that in every direction. It was our firewood, was outside for a few seasons, so there was this kind of how the wood starts turning before it rots. It isn't rotted, but I kind of love it looks like a little flame dancing up the handle. But the planes, I narrowed it down to a number 1. Excuse me, really sinusy today for some reason. A 3, the 5, and the 7, and you know, the 4.5. I just love this plane. I do semi-finishing work with it. How I hone the blade, it doesn't leave a hard edge. On the corners, it's slightly spherical, or however you would say that, convex. But I just really like this for storage, and to keep some of this stuff is almost like it would be deadly. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, and it's going to be nice to be able to just lock the tools up. This guy I made out of necessity. I was doing a staircase at a home, 2 staircases. They had the maid's quarters and the main staircase. It went up 4 flights if you include the basement, and some of the steps were so wedged that the trim was really difficult to get the angle to cut. But this, you know, you could put into, I have to finish this guy, any angle, and this is where you make your cut to get that shape. And do like octagons. I use it around a bay window to get those angles. It's just automatic. But that's pretty much the cabinet. It was fun to make, a lot of joinery. You know, the dovetails are pin held. There's no glue, nothing to expand and contract. I do heat with wood out here, so it's going to see its shear elements. It gets really cold here in Michigan and get below 0, and then 110 in the summer. So I'm hoping I made good choices on joinery. I'm learning all this. And in fact, this one board I purchased and to make up this cabinet, and slept on it for about 4 days until I made the first cut with my miter saw, and no turning back. I like forced myself. This bracket here for the chisels is actually, I guess you could call it architectural, and it is in close proximity to the hinge and really supports the weight of the door and almost pulls in on itself as you put weight on it. But the whole door frame is really, really rigid. I did you know, through tenons or whatnot, and they're square pin held, and they're not through tenons on this one. They're actually let in, and then this top piece that the chisels actually fit on help reinforce that. And I use 1/4-inch dowel rods, fast and simple. But I do have a drill press, and I made a simple 2x4 at this angle with a back that I could clamp to my drill press and drill holes and a predetermined spacing and measurements on that angle. It was just a cheap little, you know, chunk of 2x4 cut on that angle that I could clamp down, and then went from there. Some of the little toggles might be notched for that specific tool. There's a couple there. It just took a minute, just simple, and play with it, you know, see what works. But there is a lot of stuff to go. I mean, there's no hammers, no saws in here yet. A lot of stuff to go in here, and you know, like brace and bits. Whether I choose those items there specifically or not, I'm not sure. But and there's my work cabinet there, my other one. But one thing about this, you can swing the door out, open it up, and everything's right there. Right, it almost swings out over my workbench, and it's almost more convenient to just toss everything back as you're using it, and it doesn't end up cluttering up my workbench, and I don't need a pocket to or a cubby in my workbench for tools. Everything's just right there. You get done with it, you just put it back away, and it's just barely a step more than leaving it on your workbench, because I tend to really clutter myself up. But that's it. Actually posting this for a friend that had questions about its construction, and he's turning around ideas as to his own cabinet. So anyhow, any questions, I don't know, maybe I could post a video. And one thing about this shop, it's not built onto the back of my house. It's right off the kitchen, really convenient, and I don't have to mow the grass here anymore. But there was a house, they were tearing these windows out, and they're 16 feet up. So I still have plenty of wall space, but there's no lights on in here. There's like my little exit globe. It's like a 100-year-old globe. I love that thing, but it's all natural lighting. There's plenty of lights in here to turn on at night or whatnot, but I'm going to add, as I find them, the little porcelain fixtures. This side over here is going to end up being the cider mill. I have an apple orchard. I have 57 trees. I turned the whole end of our block into an apple orchard. There's 55 trees over here, over there, heirloom, 14 different varieties, but I have a lot of line shaft gear I've been collecting and restoring, and pulleys, and just kind of hang them up out of the way. Anyway, so if you see that in the background, that's all that. It's just a big converted engine, and that's the clutch system out there. Those flywheels are about 6 feet tall, and it's short of 14 feet long. Should be kind of fun to get that bugger going. I have a small collection of farm engines I restored. Another one in the house, but just fun stuff. Anyhow, thanks for watching.